hour. Mario Andretti. Will this be a second win for him? He has tried so hard and for so long. A flip of the engine over 25,000 horsepower. Roar out their challenge in the main straightaway now. And in just a few seconds, the field will begin to pull away. The 11 rows of 3. Bobby Unser is in the pace car with perhaps the best view at all, Bobby.
Yes, it is, Paul. The people are standing. Everybody's waving. I can't see an empty seat in the house. The track is clean. There's no paper on it. It's a beautiful track.
Let's take a look at this starting field. One last opportunity to review how the rows line up. The first row, of course, Mears, Unser, Fittipaldi, all with a great deal of promise. The second row, Jim Crawford, Mario Andretti, Scott Brayton. The third row, Bobby Rahal, Al Unser Jr., Raul Boesel from Brazil. The fourth row, A.J. Foyt, Randy Lewis, John Andretti. The fifth row, Teo Fabi with the Porsche power, Gary Bettenhausen, Ari Leyendyk of Holland. The sixth row, Finland's Tero Palmroth, rookie Scott Pruitt and Ludwig Heimrath Jr. Didier Tays and Bernard Jourdain, both rookies in the seventh row, along with veteran Michael Andretti. The eighth row, two winners of the race, Tom Sneva, Gordon Johncock, and Irishman Derek Daly to the outside. The ninth row, the fastest rookie in the field, John Jones, of course, Danny Sullivan, and Kevin Cogan. The 10th row, Rocky Moran, if he can make it into a starting position, Dominic Dobson, and Bill Vukovich III. And the final row, Davy Jones, Pancho Carter, and USAC Sprint and midget champion Rich Vogler. The pace car begins to accelerate, as does the field. The field up in the north end of the track. We look back from Bobby Rahal's car as they begin now to stream toward the green flag. The pace car is off the track. The field running down toward the green. A line now, and the green flag flies, and we're racing at Indianapolis as the front row heads for the first turn, side by side, and Emerson Fittipaldi sweeps from the outside across the front of Rick Mears and Al Unser, and Emerson Fittipaldi takes the lead in the first corner across the short chute. The rest of the field comes safely through the Indianapolis 500. The 73rd running is underway. Emerson Fittipaldi is leading. Aerial bombs fire off overhead, indicating the position of the cars on the track as Fittipaldi already up into the third turn, and Emerson Fittipaldi coming across the short chute and streaming toward the start-finish line. Emerson Fittipaldi off of number 4, and look, already what a tremendous distance he's stretched out as two-time world driving champion Emerson Fittipaldi, the Patrick Racing entry, across the line, followed by Rick Mears and Al Unser Sr.
What a superb start, Paul. That is the cleanest start from the front of the grid. We're already looking back significantly along the track to find Rick Mears, who is running in second place in front of this enormous crowd. Mears clearing the turn 2 there, and you see the other two cars right behind him, Paul.
So it's Emerson Fittipaldi out in front. This is second, third, and fourth. That's Rick Mears, Al Unser, and Mario Andretti has moved up into fourth place. Al Unser Jr. into fifth right now, as the Indianapolis 500 is now underway and running safely. And look at there, that is Emerson Fittipaldi. Look at the tremendous distance he's already put on the second place car of Rick Mears. Now the fight begins for third as Al Unser tries to hold off a charging Mario Andretti. The fight is for third place. The second lap run at 213.7 miles an hour. So already a torrid pace being set here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
There is every anticipation that a new record speed is going to be set today. As Bobby Unser said, the track, almost a move by Mario there. The track has been repaved. It is very, very fast. Temperatures are cool. The wind has ceased to be a factor. We could be in for a very fast day here.
Well, Mario continues to worry Al Unser Sr. in a battle for third place. The leader is still Emerson Fittipaldi. And now Mario comes to the inside. Can Mario get past? He does. Mario Andretti forces his way past Al Unser.
Two great veterans, both with a great deal at stake here, taking up the battle early in the going. It doesn't surprise me a bit that Mario...
And an accident, the 11 car, that's Kevin Cogan, up on its side in the pit area. A serious accident in the pit area, but look at Cogan. The car cut in half. The car in half, but Kevin Cogan climbs out. This accident occurring up at the head of the pit area. The crews are there, no fire. And once again, a tribute to the safety of these cars. Kevin Cogan climbs out of his broken and split machine. There is the car, Sam Posey.
You can see that he was high coming through turn 4, Paul. High, slightly out of the groove, and right there, he impacts the wall and starts toward the inside of the track. Spinning backwards, this may have saved his life, that he hit backwards when he hit really hard for the first time. Now, of course, he impacts the end of the pit wall. And now sliding across to the inside of the pit wall. The newly resurfaced pit lane there. You see him coming to a rest. As we look at another angle.
You see Cogan sliding. He comes down. Now watch. Kevin Cogan impacts the end of that attenuated barrier. All right, let's get an update. Brian Hammonds.
And we're with Andy Penske, the team manager for Kevin Cogan. Have you been in contact with him? Is he okay?
Yes, I have. I just talked to him while he was sitting on pit row here. He's fine. He's coherent, and he's complaining about a small neck pain. They've put a neck brace on him, put him on the board, and taken him to the hospital just for observation. But he's alert and doesn't seem to have anything broken.
We're under yellow. The pits are still closed. There's the reason why. They're continuing to pick up little parts, pieces of debris as a result of Kevin Cogan's accident. His life most certainly saved by the safety designs in the car and the attenuated barrier that allows itself to collapse at the end of that pit wall. On board with Michael Andretti, who so far in this race has had a pretty good run. He started 21st. He is now up to 13th, and he did that in 2 green flag laps. We now have 8 laps into the record book. And Emerson Fittipaldi is out in front, but of course running under yellow. Ahead, you can see the rest of the field that lies just ahead, the 12 cars ahead of Michael Andretti. Now the field begins to accelerate as they come toward the 4th turn. The pace car high on the track dives into the pit area, and Emerson Fittipaldi leads them back to the green flag. They fly down the main stretch. There comes Mario trying to the inside, and Mario picks up 2nd place. Rick Mears drops back just a bit.
Mario Andretti, no question about it, has been so overlooked, Paul and Bobby, this month. That may have worked for him. He was not a contender for the pole. There was not much focus on the Mario-Michael father-son relationship, surprisingly. It was all deflected by the attention to Danny Sullivan and his arm and Rick Mears getting the pole. So I think the Andrettis have kept to themselves all month. They've planned very carefully for this moment, and it seems to be that things are going well for this team.
It certainly did. You can watch, Sam, that Mario knew the green flag was going to come out. Of course, so did Emmo, and I think Emmo saw what was happening behind him, with Rick and Mario possibly trying to get a little run at him. So he crowded up close to the pace car. In fact, they were all passing the pace car before it even got into the pits. And that's really a good old USAC sprint car start, what that is. But nonetheless, Mario did get by into 2nd place.
The 20-car Emerson Fittipaldi is running in the lead of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. We'll update a couple of drivers for you. Rocky Moran was finally able to take advantage of that yellow and get underway. Remember, he had trouble starting his car when the command was given as well. So Rocky Moran, after 8 laps under yellow, was able to get into the Indianapolis 500. And Jim Crawford, who started in 4th position, dropped back a little bit and is now running in 8th place. At the front of the field, it's still Emerson Fittipaldi, now followed by Mario Andretti. Rick Mears is running in 3rd place. Al Unser Jr. is up in 4th, and his father is running in 5th. On board with your nephew, Al Unser Jr.
Well, you can see all the dirt that comes up from the other cars. That's the first thing we see on the camera. That's all debris from the racetrack. Shows you that as clean as this racetrack is, it doesn't get completely clean. There he's going to the left, 3 abreast, going right down the front straightaway with Al Jr.
And picked up 3rd place from Rick Mears as he did so. So little Al moves into 3rd as Rick falls a little further back in the field. Shades perhaps of last year. Is there a handling problem there? Or is this Rick's strategy? Just stay in touch with the lead.
Well, when you speak of last year and we see little Al pull out to pass Didier Tace, he's lapping Tace there. But the point is that last year, and there's, boy, Rick Mears not taking this pass easily. Last year, at this point in the race, Rick Mears was almost a lap back already, Here's Bobby in the pits. That
Dale Bobby, the
Porsche.
Porsche, has a problem. He slowed on the race course after moving up to 12. And Gordon Johncock is out of his car and out of the race. And look at Rick Mears as Al Unser comes past Rick Mears and picks up a position as well. And Bobby Rahal is right in there, too.
Rahal is really pushing it right now. You see him in the center of the screen. This is a great battle. Of course, each of these men has won the Indy 500. And one thing about having won this race is once you've tasted that,
Rick
you
Mears
want to win
drives
it even
Rahal to
more.
the inside. Mears ducks under that line, tries to get Bobby Rahal, can't do it.
Now, Paul, that's the white line rule deal that we're talking about, that it's okay. There's Rick running all four wheels under the white line, trying to pass Rahal. Now, that's totally legal to do today, so the folks can watch as the race goes on.
There's a patented Rick Mears attempt as he takes it almost to the grass on the backstretch and gets around Rahal again.
Now, what that is, that's brute horsepower. That's a Chevrolet against the Cosworth. Now, Rahal has the new short-stroke Cosworth in there with two of them in the race, Lyndike and Rahal. Obviously, Rahal's running very good, but not as good as Rick Mears, because Rick just outpowered him.
Rahal now runs in 6th place. Rick Mears was able to get up to 5th. Here is Danny Sullivan and Emerson Fittipaldi coming to overhaul Sullivan, and Sullivan now goes 1 lap behind the leader.
Now, the reason he can go by on the straightaway like that, Paul, is just because Emerson's getting through the turn better. Danny's arm obviously isn't working as good as it does when it hasn't been broken. So he doesn't go through the corners quite as fast, but therefore straightaway speeds go slower, and Emo just passed him right down the straightaway.
Tremendous fight for 5th place, as that's Al Unser Jr. on the outside, and Michael Andretti comes to, or Al Unser Sr. on the outside. Michael Andretti comes to the inside. They've been battling along with Bobby Rahal in that fight, as well as Michael, who started back 21st. Threads his way up through this field and doing an incredible job.
Michael Andretti may be the second fastest runner on this track right now, next to Emerson Fittipaldi. There you see Al Unser Sr. on the left of the screen, closely pursued by Bobby Rahal.
On board with Bobby Rahal.
Interesting thing about Al Unser Sr., he told me there's one problem with not racing often, as we know he races only in the 500 milers. It is, wow, he's headed into the pits there. This is not a pass strictly on the track. It is that it's hard to get yourself up for running in traffic, and yet he's done absolutely beautifully today. Watch him come fast down this new smoother pit lane. You can judge your braking distances much more accurately than you could in the old days.
So Big Al comes into the pits. He started in the front row, the center of the front row. The Penske team goes to work on that car, and as there's a shot from our pit cam. It's actually mounted on the right front wheel changer's helmet as he comes around the car, and Al goes into the action. Here is the leader, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Jack Arute is there.
Emerson Fittipaldi's Pat Patrick-led crew has gone to work. Now they're going to go to the harder tire that we alluded to, because the temperatures have gone up since qualifying. All the lead teams that have come in on this pit stop sequence already have elected to go with the harder tire. Now Fittipaldi almost stalls the engine, but he rekindles it and he's back out on the racetrack.
Under the green flag, Emerson Fittipaldi goes back into the action. We continue to watch as Rick Mears works his way around the track, trying to hold off a charging Al Unser Jr. Now to the backstretch. Al Unser Jr. trying to take 4th away from Rick Mears. No problem at all once he got there.
It appears that Rick is just not handling as good as he should. I'm not making excuses for Al passing him. Little Al always goes better in the race than he does in practice and qualifying. In fact, I knew that he's going to be tough all day that way. But I really believe that Rick and the Penske's have missed on their track settings just a little bit, Paul.
Well, Bobby, that seems to be true of many drivers, that they race much faster than they practice or qualify. On board with Michael Andretti now as he begins to close down on his dad. Michael runs in 3rd. His dad is in 2nd place just ahead, so it's an inter-team battle for 2nd place. The Andretti family in a feud.
Now on the, just a little note on the car setups, Paul, I was looking at you can look at Mario, excuse me, right underneath the white line there all the way.
They're on the backstretch. Michael comes to the inside. A whole line of cars just in front. Michael has to get down on the binders hard in the 3rd turn, but Michael gets her.
He had to brake hard, Paul, to keep him hitting that car that he was coming upon and that he was lapping there. Traffic got really tight for a while. But it just gives you an idea, like I was saying, of the different concepts that you can do with different cars at this racetrack.
Michael Andretti, that's Raul Boisel just alongside. It's not a path to position because Michael has second place right now. The car ahead is the 20 car of the Emerson Fittipaldi that he will now set his sights on.
There is Unser Jr. tucking back in behind Mario. A classic battle among all these great drivers today.
He tries to get to the inside. You can see that it gets rough when you get down below that line. Another reason not to drive there. The track flattens out once you're down under there. Mario just screaming. Here comes Little Al coming to the high side. Slower car just ahead. Little Al trying to pace his way now onto the main stretch, looking to his mirrors to see where Mario is. Mario is right there as well as they continue their fight down into the first turn. Both very low, trying to avoid that slower car sitting just ahead.
Well, that slower car's really holding them up, really making an exciting race out of it. But guarantee it's got them worried an awful lot. They're having to weave back and forth, making them not know where the other guy's going to go, and they're running all the way down to the track.
Shouldn't be worried about that car ahead. That's Rick Bogler. He's one of the real veterans of the tight ovals and midgets and sprints. He really knows how to get away around an oval. As Little Al continues to work his way past some slower cars and work his way around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, currently running in third place. Mario is now caught up in traffic behind. Bobby Rahal stopped on the racetrack, and they have brought out the yellow flag as a result of this situation. He's going to have to be towed in. Bobby Rahal stopped on the course under yellow at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 63 laps complete. All 63 are being scored to Emerson Fittipaldi, who jumped in the lead right at the start. Let's go back to 50 laps for those who like to keep score of this race. Take a look at the summary. Emerson Fittipaldi, the leader of the race, at 50 laps at an average speed of 148.3 miles an hour. Not nearly a record, but pretty close to last year's pace. It was just almost identical to last year. One caution, that was Kevin Cogan's situation.
That was a long caution, Paul. The race speeds have really been fast. Notice that Bobby Rahal is going to be out of the race. I think their problem was probably very possibly short stroke Cosworth.
We've got a few of the cars already being scored out of the Indianapolis 500, but now the pace car comes back off the course once again. Dwayne Sweeney, the starter, has the green flag, and Emerson Fittipaldi roars past the 59 car, Carol Pomeroy, continuing to lead here at the Indianapolis 500. But it will be a battle at the front of the field because there sits Michael Andretti. Mears, the number 4 car, runs in 4th place, but Mario Andretti is closing down. He's closing at about 4/10 of a second a lap. Roger Penske watches over his team.
Well, Penske, more than anybody, approaches this almost in a military fashion and knows what strength in numbers means. He started the race with 3 cars. In effect, he has only one left to him now, Rick Mears, and this race isn't even halfway over. So this is not the kind of race that Roger likes to see develop at all.
Al still working his way around the track, trying to come up to speed, but it is not rolling fast. The clutch is still a problem. That would leave Roger Penske with only one hope, the number 4 car of Rick Mears, and it currently lies in 4th place. Mario Andretti with a little bit more of a problem. Emerson Fittipaldi, the leader of the race, also made a stop. In doing so under the green flag, turned the lead over to Mario's son, Michael Andretti. Unser Jr. fell into 2nd place then, and Emerson Fittipaldi came back out in 3rd place. Rick Mears continues in 4th, but here he is on the pit road and rolling down toward Richard Buck and the Penske team for some fast Penske service. Michael Andretti in the lead of the race. Let's go to Brian.
Michael gets 4 new tires. He already has a full load of fuel, waiting to take off. They're holding him just for a second, so we'll last in the fuel. You can say now, there he goes. Michael Andretti leaves, and the tires don't seem to be blistered. We'll find out exactly what compound he put back in the car.
There's Michael Andretti. His visor is still up. He should reach up. There he does. Closes it as he hits the end of the pit lane. That's the first time that Michael's led at Indianapolis since 1986 when he led the opening 42 laps. But as he was in the pits, Emerson Fittipaldi got past and back into the lead. Emerson Fittipaldi back into the lead of the 500. And here is the Michael Andretti car moving around the corner. Michael Andretti runs in 2nd place. In 3rd place is Unser Jr. The average speed of the race at the halfway point, 100 laps, just 2 laps ago, was 167.9 miles an hour.
Paul, the ironic thing about it is that has to do with pit stops and yellows. Emerson Fittipaldi's really raised the price of poker racing-wise. He's been running 217 and 218 mile-an-hour laps, and that is awesome at this point in the race.
Emerson Fittipaldi was not expected to dominate the race quite the way he has now. But when you think of this man's long and fascinating life, in some ways, it really is no surprise.
There's the 1986 Rookie of the Year in Indy cars, Dominic Dobson, as he works his way around this track. What a great story he's been today. He started 29th. He's now running in 9th place. 20 positions he moved up.
Watch for Dominic Dobson in the next few years. He is somebody that is on every top car owner's short list of drivers that they would like to hire if one of their key men drops out.
Emerson Fittipaldi now focused on a pit stop. Jack Aruta's there.
Patrick team has gone to work. They're taking on as much fuel as possible. He's been given the signal to go out of the pits. A very good stop. Now, here, just before the stop, we were hearing, and one of the crew members was over listening to the USAC radios, and there was some talk as to whether Fittipaldi would be warned about passing below the white line. So far, no one from USAC has come to this crew and formally registered a complaint about it, but they, in monitoring USAC, are somewhat concerned about it as well, because they've heard the USAC officials talking about it on the radio.
And you watch Michael Andretti pick up the lead of the race, car number 6 there, when Emerson Fittipaldi made his stop. And of course, we mentioned that white line as a real concern. The officials do not want competitors running routinely and continuously below the white line. So they will be very, very careful to watch these cars. There you see Michael get 4 wheels under the line. 4 wheels is the quantity that they're concerned about. And now this race is over the halfway point now. 113 laps are now complete, and they're beginning to pick the pace up now. We'll go back to the start of this Indianapolis 500, which started with just incredibly beautiful weather here, the 73rd running of the 500, as a show of smoke at the back of Rick Mears' car. The last of the Penske hope is now showing smoke at the back of the car. He was running in 4th. There is his wife, Chris Mears, on the scoring stand. She is in radio contact. She can hear what Rick is saying now, and he is reporting a situation on that car that is not going to please Roger Penske.
Well, Paul, we can't be for sure right now, but most likely that's going to be an engine problem. It's definitely a serious problem because...
Let's go to the pits, Jack Arute.
Well, the report is from Dan Luganbuehler, who is the information director, is that Rick Mears may have lost the Chevrolet engine. He brings the car down onto pit road, and it is not running. It is smoking. He lifts the visor. They're going to take the bonnet off, but it is over for Rick Mears and over for Team Penske in 1989 as well. Roger Penske talking to Rick, Rick getting out of the car. As the crew goes to work, it will not be a Team Penske car in victory lane today.
Back into the action after that rather long stop, and now you ride on board with the leader, Michael Andretti. Second place is Emerson Fittipaldi.
Of course, it's Rick Gallus's concept. Here we are on board with Michael, showing his head buffeting in the air. Really not very bad, considering he's running well over 200 miles there. There he is into the pits.
The leader of the race comes down, makes his stop, rolling into the pit area. You see the vent valve out in front, and Emerson Fittipaldi comes back, picks up the lead of the race as Michael makes this pit stop. The team already at the back of the car. Michael looking just ahead for that board to be pulled out of the way. He dumps the clutch, and he's back into the action. So Michael Andretti gives up the lead to Emerson Fittipaldi when he makes his stop.
Well, he certainly did. Now he pulled the shield back down. He'd be back up the speed. Now you can see his head buffeting around as it was before. When you see the back shot, it looks a little bit smoother than it does when that camera reverses. The driver really goes through a lot of buffeting, because just imagine sticking your hand out of a window of a car going even 80 miles an hour, much less 230 miles an hour.
Well, Ari Leyendyke, he was running in 5th place when the engine let go on the main stretch. He's now over on the backside of the course.
Now what you're seeing come out of there is water, oil, everything. That's really a blown engine, Paul. I'm sure that is. That's again the short stroke Cosworth, just like we had in Bobby Rahal's car.
All right, the Flying Dutchman, Ari Leyendyke, with his engine gone, now is out of the race, and that will bring out the yellow flag at 128 laps while they clear Ari off of the race course. There's Paul Newman as he watches both Michael and Mario Andretti And just seconds ago, while we were reviewing the race, Emerson Fittipaldi came in for what should have been a routine stop as well. Here's Jack Arute, who was there.
And Paul, what happened was what looked to be a normal pit stop turned out to be an inordinately long pit stop. Thank goodness it was under the guise of a caution period, because the crew had to go out, change 4 tires, because they discovered near the end of their stop that a right front tire had blistered. Emerson Fittipaldi, liking the setup of the car, has been pleading with them not to make any major changes on the mount. But when they saw the blister, and it was a very tiny one, they elected to change all 4 tires. So it was an extraordinarily long 37.2-second pit stop.
Michael Andretti sees the green. Emerson Fittipaldi is just 3 seconds back. As Michael screams across the line, you can see Emerson just sitting back there. But he gets forced to the inside alongside a slower car as they come through the first turn. Emerson Fittipaldi in pursuit now of Michael Andretti.
You know, last year, Emerson Fittipaldi's team spent 4 minutes and 30 seconds in the pits compared to Rick Mears' team, which won the race, of course, who spent just 1 minute and 40 seconds. And some people felt that if there was a weakness in the Pat Patrick team at all, it was perhaps in their pit work. Now, of course, that was in comparison to Penske. Penske team is out. Certainly the Patrick team is one of the top teams in the business, in the pits, but we did see a problem there.
On the course, car 15, Jim Crawford, the Buick Power, the man who had such a gorgeous run here last year. The car that was damaged severely, sent to England, brought back to the United States just Wednesday evening, completely reassembled after its bodywork totally repaired. Now comes to the side of the race course. Was running in 4th, but the engine is silent for the moment. Still out in front at the Indianapolis 500 with 139 laps complete is Michael Andretti. And we have an indication that Emerson Fittipaldi, the second place car, is heading for the pits once again. He stopped on lap 112, again on lap 129. This is the 139th lap as both Michael and Emerson Fittipaldi roll in.
It's under yellow. That's why there's been an incident, and both Andretti and Fittipaldi are capitalizing on the yellow flag situation. You see Emerson there in the pits.
His pit down at the south end, just beyond the entrance to Gasoline Alley. And now it's a race in the pits as Emerson Fittipaldi comes out, and right behind him, there is Michael Andretti. So in the pits, there is where the crews can be so critical. Proper placement of the pit position and fast work by the Patrick team, and Emerson Fittipaldi is back in front. Well, Michael Andretti now rides in second place. Just that quickly, positions change at the Indianapolis 500-mile race. We're under yellow once again. No indication for the yellow. Certainly no accident, so it must be debris that was noted by one of the many USAC observers here on the race course. Michael Andretti rides, tries to think what can he do now to get back around Emerson Fittipaldi. Now, let's go over to Brian Hammers.
Paul, I'm very pleased to have the Vice President of the United States here with me, Dan Quayle. And Mr. Vice President, you've been to this race so many times, but I understand it took some schedule juggling to make it this year.
It did take some juggling in the schedule. I was not scheduled to come here, and all of a sudden I said, look, I always go to the Indianapolis 500-mile race. There were some concerns about security, but we got everything worked out, and we're delighted to be here. I couldn't imagine missing my first race of Indianapolis as Vice President. I didn't.
The green light just winked on once again, and Emerson Fittipaldi has jumped out in front again. Now, that white debris that you see spraying about the track is part of the reason for the very long yellow. It's not a problem on Emo's car, but it is some oil dry laid on the race course to pull the oil off the circuit and make it safe to race.
It certainly is, Paul, and everybody wonders, is it slippery or is it easy to get a hold of? It is definitely slippery.
Al Unser Jr., he runs in 3rd place. He is 6 seconds behind the leader. He had 10 cars between this machine and that of Michael Andretti. He's trying to catch up that distance now. The drivers here at the 500 for the very first time actually have a speedometer. He can look down and know exactly how fast he's going. In the past, they've had only tachometers, which give him a relative idea of speed, but now there you can see that's his tachometer, which is a graph now on the car that shows exactly how fast the engine is turning.
It's a complete computerized system for the car.
Michael Andretti now closing down on the leader, Emerson Fittipaldi, and gets past. So Michael Andretti picks up the lead of the Indianapolis 500. Emerson seemed to falter for just a second and slowed down just a bit. So now here is Michael coming to the line, scored in the lead once again. He just turned the last lap at 215 miles an hour and has picked up the lead, and you can see that Emo seems to be falling a bit behind.
Well, he certainly is, and there's got to be some reason for it. It's going to show up before too long.
So at the Indianapolis 500, we watch them give the board to Emerson Fittipaldi.
216 mile an hour lap. Not up to his 218 he was running earlier. Not far off.
Michael Andretti running in the lead. Just like his father several years ago, the engine has let go. He coasts to a stop on the track from the lead. Michael Andretti out of the 500.
That's another Chevrolet problem with those engines today, Paul. You can watch it, the smoke comes out of the tailpipe. That's when you know it's coming out water and oil. That means they really got the engine good.
We talk about what fathers, as here comes Emerson Fittipaldi streaking into the pits, and we're going to have to watch and see what he does, although it is no longer that critical, is it? Because he has a big lead now, and his main rival is Unser Jr.
Sam, which will in turn cause the yellow to come out, which will in turn give little Al
a chance
to catch back up, and it'll still put two cars right together for the lead.
There's his car moving down the main stretch. Look about halfway down there, right at the line now. The engine let go right in front of the giant grandstands that line the 5/8 of a mile long home stretch at the Speedway, and he coasted to a stop. Green flag comes out once again as they come across the line. Emo now picks up the lead as a result of that stop, and Emo leads the field in through the first and second turn. Little Al is now 6 seconds back.
And a lot of cars have to be passed before he can really take up the attack. Of course, little Al, first race at Indy in 1983. His best finish to date has been 4.
In the pits, here is Raul Boisel. He is the third place car, but he is 5 laps behind the leader. The only 2 cars in contact on the course are Emerson Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr. The 4th place car is Mario Andretti, but he is 6 laps behind the leader. So Boisel, using one of the Judd engines, continues to be in the hunt, makes his stop in 1.2 seconds. Boisel works his way back into the traffic. The wheel rolling loose, coming off of the 4th turn on the main stretch. It belonged to Taro Pomroth's car. The crew out there got it stopped before it went back into the lane of traffic. We are under yellow.
Bringing out the yellow is going to be a big factor. Another change in strategies now. Emo's into the pit to get a splash. Now we're going to have to see what little Al's going to do. He won't have enough fuel to run real hard to go to the end, Paul. That's for sure.
So Emerson Fittipaldi comes down under this yellow flag to make a pit stop. He sits in the pit. Al Unser Jr. working his way still around the course. It appears certain that Fittipaldi will complete his pit stop and come out into the action before little Al comes by. Little Al, as Emerson Fittipaldi chugs away a little bit. Fittipaldi was having some problems getting away. Now it may be that little Al will catch him down in the first turn. Fittipaldi gets caught up behind a safety vehicle, and look how close they come out together. Fittipaldi is just 1 car ahead down there to the inside, and little Al sees him and knows that he's got to stay in contact with him. Let's take a look at the situation with regard to little Al. He's never won on an oval. He certainly never won the Indianapolis 500. Emerson Fittipaldi, 2-time world champion, has not won at Indianapolis either. In fact, there are only 2 men in the top 10 who have completed this race in first place. That's Mario Andretti and A.J. Foyt. As Teresa watches Emerson Fittipaldi stream away through the short chutes, the south end of the track, through the second turn now, and little Al is in pursuit. 1982 at this point. Rick Mears was trying to chase down Gordon Johncock. Now little Al is in the very same position. 0.2 of a second back. To the home stretch again. just ahead. He lies in 4th place. 6 laps behind the leaders. The tension is incredible. Fittipaldi says no. 5 laps to go. The backstretch. Another try. Can Unser Jr. get it done this time? It's a drag race going into 3, and Little Al has the lead. Unser Jr. picks up the lead. The question now is fuel.
Get the yellows. Help Little Al enough. Fuel.
Little Al wandered back and forth on the main stretch. Was he trying to pick up a little more fuel? That tank is right down to the bottom now with 4 laps to go.
He's trying to break the slipstream that Emmo's trying to use to keep up, Paul.
A.J. Foyt won his first race here. It was A.J.'s first win on pavement. Will Unser Jr. score his first oval win here today? Fittipaldi comes inside Little Al. A drag race on the backside again. Slower traffic moves to the right. Can Fittipaldi get past? Little Al brings it down low. They touch. Little Al into the wall. Fittipaldi continues on. Little Al slams the wall as Emerson Fittipaldi screams toward the white flag. The yellow flag comes out. Unser Jr. taps with Emerson Fittipaldi. They are on the main stretch now, but is Fittipaldi's car fit? Fittipaldi tried it inside the 3rd turn. The white flag is out. 199 laps are complete. The yellow flag flies. Teresa kisses Pat Patrick. Can you imagine the despair that Shelley and Al Unser feel now? Because for the 2nd year in a row, he's okay. Little Al climbs out of his car, walks away from the safety crews. For the 2nd year in a row, the Indianapolis 500 will finish under the yellow flag, but this time it will be a new name. It will be that of 2-time world driving champion Emerson Fittipaldi. What promised to be a close finish ended with a lap and a half to go. Unser Jr. stands by the edge of the race course.
What will be his reaction as Emerson comes by? Was he angry? Did he gesture? He went out to signal it.
Little Al stepped out toward the edge of the track. Now the pace car will lead Emerson Fittipaldi, just like it did last year for Rick Mears, toward the checkered flag. The 73rd Indianapolis 500 is rolling to an end, and Emerson Fittipaldi, under the yellow flag, has captured his first 500-mile race victory at Indianapolis. Emerson Fittipaldi wins the great race. And boy, are they happy. No surprise whatsoever. Watch Emerson Fittipaldi hold on to the checker, the winner of the Indianapolis 500.
Exciting stuff, and Fittipaldi becomes only the 4th man to win the Indy and the Formula One championship, which he won twice, as you've heard. And